Hello, my daily fighters. My name is Jim, and this is your daily Brogue for the 13th of August, 2020 something or other. Okay, so what should I say? Hello, hello, hello today. What did I want to talk about? So I want to talk about the Kale Eater Goblins, but I'm still thinking a little bit about that. I also want to talk about maps and stuff like that. So I was telling you that I was playing with Castle White Rock. Castle White Rock is an old module, Dungeon Crawl Classics 51 by Goodman Games from, I don't know how long ago, but let's say 20 years ago, something like that. So it was during this time. So this is let me just try that one. There we go. It was during the time when they, towards the end of whenever third edition was going around. It was right about at the time when let's go with the Firebolts. Um, right about at the time when fourth edition came around and Dungeon Crawl Classics had to Goodman Games and its Dungeon Crawl Classics line had to change a little bit based on the changing market conditions. Basically, nobody wanted to play Dungeons and or Dragons. Um, so this was a mega dungeon. Mega dungeons are something that basically weren't kind of normal to my mind. Okay, good. There's another eel. So got that. And there is something on depth 3. So that was not good. Oops. Okay, so Dungeon Crawl Classics had this. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see. Now we need to figure out how many firebolts it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. So my old firebolts. Okay, so let's steal that and run. Oops, leather armor, leather armor. You get to stay there. Um, what's this? Leather armor, weeping telepathy. So I do have the option here of ignoring this until I come back down and then worrying about what happens there. So I could wear that leather armor, go back up, and then um, come back for that key later. I did not figure out what's going on with the scale mail, but I know the scale mail is at least average, so we're okay with that. How do I get up there? Like to sort of finish up as much as we can the levels before we go back up. when we go back up, I'll show you Castle White Rock as a mega dungeon. Bang. Let's see. Okay, so I guess I did not stop the pause. Um, I did not pause. So this is the mega dungeon here, right? So this is a mega dungeon. If you look at like the first the round book, you see this sort of level diagram. And I always wanted to play a game with a dungeon like this, but I never did. I never, from 1980 whatever, when I started playing through, um, well, I mean, technically 2008, 2009, maybe 2010. This is somewhere in there. No, I was playing in the third edition game up until about when I left California. So that was 2010. In that entire time, I never played a game with a mega dungeon, something like this, something with lots and lots and lots of levels, right? So this is what a mega dungeon looks like. Is you have to have these sort of level diagrams. This was shown in something, but never actually used. Um, I may be wrong. Maybe the Lost City is a mega dungeon. Maybe that's the first one. Well, it wouldn't have been because they had them in Judges Guild and stuff like that, but that's not just not the way we played, right? We didn't play like that. We had more sense even when we were kids. Um, so mega dungeons are difficult because they don't make any narrative sense. And that's even before you start getting to people talking about things like dungeon ecology, which nobody knows what exactly people mean by that. I usually just think, do you have any idea how those orcs on the fourth level actually get food, right? Um, because usually you don't, right? Usually it's just random crap is happening, and you say, "Oh, that looks like it should have been. There should have been something, right?" But we haven't really figured out any way that things happen, and even when you look at things like, I don't know, the Caverns of Thracia, the and things like that, where people start talking about Jaquaising the dungeon and stuff like that because it was made by someone named Jaquays. Um, and there are lots of ways in and out of the dungeon. These questions just don't get answered. Um, and I know that in part because, I've been looking at these dungeons, these mega dungeons, and trying to make them make sense. And they almost do, but every time they almost make sense, you figure out that they don't make any sense whatsoever. So uh, that's generally a bad thing. We want the dungeon to make a modicum of sense so that we understand what it is we're supposed to be doing in this dungeon. Um, so let me look at the uh, oops, wrong thing. Is that on it? What? No, you looked right for a second there. Okay, there we go. Um, that why did that flip this upside down? Okay, here is Castle White Rock. Normally, I look at it at the side view because that's how it's printed, but I guess this is so the way you're actually supposed to look at it. We'll see that this is not everything I did was at the side view. So this is how Castle White Rock looks on that first level. And the weird thing about this is that the guys up here that inhabit part of this level are monks, D&D monks. But they're not monks, they're bandits that are pretending to be D&D monks that are for some reason coming up to this monastery and doing like an archaeological dig. So these little squares here are supposed to be tents. We're also already getting into some of this territory where things are not making a lot. So we're already not making sense just because of the monks. Look at some of the other things here. This is the monastery, right? It's right up here at the edge of this lake. Don't worry about the stairway because that's a fantastic thing. But all of these tents are right here for some reason. For some reason, the monks, the bandits, set up a fake tent city right here and then have inhabit the right hand side of this thing. Some bad things here are like these crumbling walls. They haven't put anything up there. They haven't put anything up on those crumbling walls. So yes, they fixed up, I guess, the leader's room here, but they didn't fix up these crumbling walls to their own barracks. Basically, they have a barracks because bandits are very well organized. Um, So they didn't even fix these up. They didn't even put like tarps up or anything like that on them. They have tents, but they didn't even put like tarps up to protect these areas here. So they just let the walls crumble for some reason. Don't sort of clean up to a point where um, they're not cold at night. But they have all this stuff up. There's no windbreak up anywhere up here. Again, for the old monastery as well, there's no windbreak. It's right there jutting out into the wind, right? Like a crazy person. So there are a lot of things here. Now, room one is a very interesting room. It could have been done better. I'll show you how I think it could have been done better, but it's a very interesting room. But it's in a very interesting room that should be basically saying you can't get in this way, right? Somehow they say, well, maybe the players talk their way in. These are bandits who are slavers who are pretending to be monks. Why on earth would they let anyone in? Why would they go to the point of having a fake tent city? I mean, these things just don't make a lot of sense to me. Um, it's just random window dressing. So this is like just the first level. I'm already freaking out just by all of these things. So I'll be modifying this as I go along. All right. So um, that's what we're looking to work with. Um, I mean, obviously, when I get down lower levels, it makes even less sense. Do I have what is our obstruction? Obstruction 2. I've got this other firebolt. I've got two firebolts 3, and I've got like 34 more steps to take to figure out that this leather armor is just +0 leather armor. So we'll go back up to the chainmail. We know the chainmail is not cursed. Oops. No, the scale mail is not cursed. All right. So we'll come over here and we will drop that weird leather armor. Grab that key. We come back over here. Just make sure there's nothing over here that we dropped in the water before and see what's happening. I think this is a staff room. It is a staff room. And it's got a Conjuration 3. That's pretty good. Okay, so okay, that's +0 scale mail. So how are we feeling? Are we feeling lucky? So I mean, the first thing I do is I modify those um, bandits. Sure, they can pretend to be monks, but they're pretending to be regular old monks, not D&D monks, right? D&D monks are much harder to fake your way through, right? Because you're trying to pretend. How am I getting? Oh, there's just a ledge. You're trying to pretend that there's something. There's some sort of Shaolin stuff associated with your monkitude. The second thing is I changed those guys to pink potion is from this level. Yeah, I guess I am taking a chance on the chainmail. The chainmail is fine. So +3 ring of awareness. That's good. We will. So first thing is I just switch those to normal monks, partially because I'll be playing with Shadow Dark, and there are no, at least to my knowledge, at this time there are no battle monks in Shadow Dark. Okay, we'll do a jelly flambe. So since there are none of those guys, we kind of have to change that. Actually, that's going to be interesting. So maybe they'll add a monk. I guess they'll have to add a monk class to Dungeon Crawl Classics when they do the. Okay, when they do the conversion, that'll be cool. Um, See what they do with that. Goodman games can get a little over the top, so it could be extremely fun. So I just make the monks half orcs that are being created on the second level, right? So on the second and third levels, which have what is an interesting, what could be an interesting interaction between the between two orc factions, plus a little mystery. But there's just the way to get between those two levels is through a secret door that basically only the guys that are in charge should know about. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I mean, they should have a way through the mazes, um, which is what I'm working on now. So this is how this looks. Now this entire entryway here is uh, crumbling down here. I think they don't know anything about this room. This room doesn't look like it connects, but I think it's supposed to connect to room 12 from the description. So 11 down here. I think is supposed to connect to room 12 or to this secret hallway from the description, but I don't know that for sure. So that's interesting. And remember, 1 is a very interesting room. We'll talk about that. So this is my sort of redraw to try to figure things out, how these things should work. We've got a spire, we've got this entrance, and I've moved the temple off to a side, and I put something as a windbreak here. I think I changed that a couple of times, and I opened up that main entrance. I mean, funneling things through your bedroom or funneling slaves through your bedroom every time you need to hide them or need to sell them to the orcs downstairs seems to me to be a very inefficient thing. There should be a better way to sell them, better way to get them down, and that better way is just through the front fucking door. Bang, right? Just go through the front door. Nobody's coming to your monastery to check out, the if there are any fire code violations or anything like that. Nobody has to be able to come here. You also notice I moved this thing which had been hugging a wall. I moved out here to become sort of a windbreak, and this is the stables. So I think instead of the stables coming curving around a wall, the stables would probably do something more. You'd probably move the stables out here so that you have a little courtyard in which you can, um, you know, you can take the animals out, you can load them, you can work with them, however, and you don't have to have a bunch of stables pointed directly out at a giant wind generating lake. Um, and I go through this, I figure out there's like this fallen temple, and so to make things a little more interesting, I have there is a fallen. We look here. This is a fallen tower. So the castle had 2 towers. One of those fell down. I made it fall down on the temple. It, that's more fun, right? And then there's a secret door. There's a secret cave way over here. What for? Why? I don't know. Oh, I know it's the only place where there's anything worthwhile. So I put that somewhere in the ruins. And this gets modified. This I try to make a little more meaningful later on. And there I've moved. You see, this is number 1. This is the entrance, that front entrance. Very early on, they just have a building here, and right on top of the building in the sun is where the guards are hanging out for some reason. Instead, I've moved that into the actual cave itself. So to get through here, you um, go through this cave, through this underground passage, come to a door, and then the guy says, "We don't want any," or "You've got a package, leave it here, go away. We'll pick it up in an hour." Right, whatever. No, we're not going to sign for it. We're not going to sign for it. Okay, because of that. And so this is sort of a list of the rooms and how it works out. And so I use all of that to sort of map out the flow in basically the 4 different areas of the dungeon, right? So the dungeon has these 4 areas. The outdoor castle part where the bandits are, this fallen temple, and these and I've added in the other part, half of the castle to that, and the fallen temple. That's where the giant monsters are, the giant bugs basically are. There's like a giant praying mantis or something in here. Can add some giant cockroaches for fun. Some giant water bugs because it's right next to the water. There's this spire, which is a lookout post that they spend a lot of time on. Again, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's it makes a little bit of sense, except that it makes a little bit of sense if you're thinking people are going to come up through the water. It doesn't make any sense on land because these are basically cliffs. And then this fourth area is this area here, which is basically just the entrance to the um, dungeon, entrance to the dungeon going down. So this map here is the map for the original map. This is the map of the different places in the different locations for Castle White Rock for those bandits. B here is sort of the temple and ruined area. The C is the entrance to the orc caves, basically. And part D here is the spire. And we have to have this 1A, right? So we have the bottom, we have, so this should have actually gone from 2. So this should have been 2A. So we have something underground. We have which is going to lead us to that secret room that I think should have had another door. We have 2, which should just have an exit. That will bring us down to A to B. This has a bunch of spiders in it. Then we have a bunch of hawks. Then we have a guy up here, a lookout. And you're supposed to climb from the bottom to the top. The lookout climbs from the bottom to the top on the outside of the spire for the lookout. Now this is kind of okay, right? If he has a way to signal people down uh, at the platform level or at the main level down here, level A. And this is full of like nasty spiders or something like that. This middle level has bloodhawks, and this guy's actually using the bloodhawks, I think, as pigeons, as homing pigeons, messenger pigeons. And then I redraw the map again, trying to make it make a little bit more sense, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And I went through all of that without actually showing you those things. So there's the original White Rock. Here's the map. Here's my notes. Here's the little Zork-like maps that I put together. And this is what I'm going to talk about when I come back at the end of the level. And hopefully then I can remember to talk about that. Okay, what have I got? 2 pink potions. Feeling good about pink potions, right? Do I have a life? I do. So all I have to do is, I guess I had a pink potion coming down here, and I definitely have 2 pink potions. I do need to zap that bastard. Okay, so it's not good. I don't have anything offensive. I don't have any weapons. This is not going to last very long. I'm just going to zap a firebolt over there for fun. That might do something bad, but probably not. I think I checked out enough to know that it won't do anything bad. These guys are here. I'm just going to do S. Oh, good. So this is good chainmail. So we should Run away from acid mounts. Do we have a good? Not really. Reasonably good place for magic mapping. Protect weapon. Wrong thing to protect. H. Summon monsters. And D will be enchanting. By D to E. Oh, okay, I did that enough times. Okay. Ogre. Um, ogres have a soft spot for conjurations. Okay, so let's go back to the maps. So, like I said, I got to that map by starting with this map, turning it on its side, making some minor modifications. So I went from having this ruined temple go under this fallen tower. So this makes one complex here for all the ruined stuff. Um, I think that's the main thing that I've done. I've done some changes. I keep screwing around with this entrance area down here. Like I said, we have this entrance area down here. There's this room. It's supposed to have two secret doors in it. There's only one secret door. I assume that that other secret door either goes to this secret passage, which makes a lot of sense, or to this main entry hall to the dungeons, which makes no sense. Um, I have a list of things I did. I have a little map, and this is pretty close to the way I'm thinking about it now. I've got the lookout tower right here. That comes down to this complex down here. Complex 1 is um, an improved version of that entry hall. Everything's underground. There's still the pits. It still has this funnel shape. The characters are actually under these arrow slits while they're knocking at the door. So there's sort of a cave over here. It's a big open cave. It's not right. This entire area here is from a cave, right? So you have this big open cave. There's a gong here for some extra alert action, and so that when the characters are here, um, if they're starting to make trouble, right? Because this is a barricaded door, trying to break down the door or something. There's a gong. Now instead of 3 bandits, they have 50 bandits. I don't know how many bandits are actually supposed to be there, but we have 50. You have a bunch of bandits. They're not getting in through one, right? They're not going to bluff their way through. That's stupid, right? These guys, if these guys are going through the trouble of pretending to be monks so nobody messes with their slaving operation, they're not going to let a bunch of jackasses from the town who think they're heroes convince them that it's a great idea. That they are the health and safety inspectors and they want to check out the kitchens to make sure that nobody gets food poisoning. Um, so these murder holes that are supposed to be in the roof, they're in both this little entry alcove here, this little foyer, as well as the larger entry hall where they already were, except for the bandits were hanging out on the roof for some reason, rather than making this a little better fortified. Um, so that's that complex. Again, I've put these together now. I've got a second complex as well, and so forth. And you can see there are basically like 4 ways to get in here. Maybe five, maybe three, maybe five, depends on the count. You have your direct route through that front door. You can come up through the spire, right? This thing here, it's up on the top. You can go over, you can try to climb over the mountain and get over to the spire. You can climb over the mountain and try to get over to the ruined temple. I put a little place where it's easy to sort of wade through the water over here. Maybe if you wade through the water, you get, to meet with that Hydra or something like that. There's like a Hydra, or whatever they called it, which is a weird name, and a water. And then there's, the direct route through here to where, if you look at my full map here, where they now have fishing boats, because they've got a bunch of these half orcs wandering around. Maybe they have some quarter orcs who go fishing, right? They have half orcs who are the bandits and the slavers, and then they have the quarter orcs who are the slaves or some kind of slavey sort of thing. And these guys go out and they fish so that the half orcs and the orcs and everybody, they're getting food, right? Let's get some food. Food is good. I like food. Food is good. And so we still have that same cave complex here. I've expanded this out so that there's, a tack room or something like this. Um, don't really have any of the wagons. Maybe I can put the wagons in A and have it as sort of like a barn or a garage or something. Um, but I don't really have the wagons there. You don't need the wagons. Actually, I'm looking at this. I need to modify A. It's ended up. It's ended up. It's supposed to be off to the side, and it's ended up directly in front of that room one. So it should be off to the side. So there's room to bring a wagon in here. But we want the wagons to. We don't want to have wagons in here because they're not going to bring slaves in by wagon. They're going to bring slaves in by boat. Wagons wouldn't work, right? You need wagons really need some sort of paved road. They're not all-terrain vehicles. So you're not going to get wagons with your slaves. You're either going to chain them up and march them in a line, or if you're putting them in cages, those cages are going to go on boats. Those boats are going to come over here. Then you need some place to hide a big boat that can carry a bunch of slaves, unlike these little fishing boats that I put here, based on medieval fishing boats. So this 13 is that secret room from before that connects the tower to the bandit leader's lair. Um, there's this other tower over here, not the spire, but the tower. What that's doing, I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with that. That had an interesting encounter, but if I'm getting rid of if I get rid of the monk angle, that gets bad. Um, and I put this area together. In order to There are some interesting things where they had the cave-in. If you investigated cave-in, I think you found like a nasty thing. So I'm going to put some of those into a little foyer rather than just having a door and going straight down directly. Have a little foyer here. If you so, this 19 was the original place. Lock lock the slaves there until the orcs are ready to come get them, and they come down through 20. So that's how I've sort of modified that. Um, and did I? I did not leave that. So we went from this to that, and I think there's not that much of a difference. I got rid of all these stupid tents. And then I could talk about this for apparently another 3 weeks with all those levels. Oh, and there is the first version of the cover for Goblin Fighter, Advanced Goblin Fighter. Just going to be Goblin Fighter, then Advanced Goblin Fighter, because I'm making fun of rock prep. Okay, so we need the conjuration. Okay. I have to mention that there's no way I am winning this fight with a dagger. I hope that conjuration has some dudes. No. Apply. Okay. E. But anyways, again, as far as I'm concerned, basic of E. Why is this not understanding E's today? What am I hitting instead? Still have the life. Is that the mirror totem? Is that a real totem? That's the mirror totem. Okay, so still have a descent. I still have a descent. I also have an obstruction. I should have been firebolting these guys. Mirror totem, I have an obstruction. Okay. Let's try D. Detect magic. It is a magic spear. Wait a second. It's a cage key? So I will check the magic spear out before I. Shit. That is how you die in this game. Oh, man. Okay, so what happens? I should have used the descent. What happened here? Um, so I was good, and I used my obstruction to uh, block the path from the mirror totem to the door, and I got into this. Vault. Then, while I was in the vault getting that spear, the obstruction crystals disappeared from the lava. So when I walked out, I got pulled to the mirror totem. The mirror totem pulls you to the space next to it in a direct straight line. It took me from this spot here, right in front of the door, to this spot here in the lava, right in front of it, and I was dead. I die. Oh, that is astounding. That is how this game is supposed to be. Thank you very much. Bye.